Do you suffer from debilitating migraines? You know, that throbbing pain in the front or side of your head that's so severe you're unable to work or do anything other than retreat into a dark and quiet room? Have you had them for years and just haven't found a solution? Call Dr. Elizabeth Ebersol and put an end to your debilitating migraines forever. Or go to her website at www.handmadehealth.com. That's www.handmadehealth.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Night Glory Report. I've got Kenny Matthews and Payton Peterson. We got a lot to go through tonight. What's up, guys?
What's up?
What's happening? What's happening?
So we got
We're
playoffs.
on the eve of the playoffs.
Yeah, 1 through 4A. It was like it wasn't real all week, and I was like, playoffs? I mean, seriously.
Playoffs?
Yeah. You're like in the middle of the season.
Knocked me over the feather. I didn't think we'd ever get to this point before the season started.
No, I didn't. But, well, that's one of the things we want to talk about today. I was talking to Payton earlier, and so far there was 11 games going to forfeit. What's going on, Payton?
Yep, 11 games so far, and that's including 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. So as of last night, it was only 2 through 4A had cancellations. So 1A was looking great. But then one finally happened. Crowell had the forfeit due to these are all because of COVID. You want to point that out. They had to forfeit because of COVID. Borden County advanced. That was in 1A. And then in 2A, for some reason, they just had an explosion and multiple cancellations. Let's see, six cancellations in 2A. Chico forfeits, Cumbie, Ben Bolt, Riviera Coffer, Burton, and West Texas. And then out of all those cancellations, Albany, Mart defending state champions, Kennedy, Refugio, defending state champions, Cristobal, and Post, they all advance. Then in 3A, Odessa Compass and Teague forfeits, and that moves Ballinger and Grandview to the next round, and Grandview defending state champions as well. Then in 4A, two more as San Elizario and Gatesville, they forfeit, and that moves on Fort Stockton and Carthage to the next round. And man, it's crazy. This is just, we thought this was going to be a smooth sailing, maybe a couple cancellations here and there, but 11, and it's only Wednesday right now. So I know me and a lot of other people in the media, and obviously the players and coaches are hoping that they don't get hit by any cancellations now and in between the state championship game.
They didn't really – that's crazy because at the start of the season, it was like hardly any.
Yep.
I mean, well, Payton had – yeah, it's like you were jinxed there for a minute. But
yeah, I was thinking that you would think that 4A or 3A would be the one that would have the most because of population size and this and that. But 2A, they have 6. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it
just takes one case though to come into camp, and
it's very true. And it's, I mean, how rampant it is. I mean,
and
once it's in, it's very hard to stop. And especially
small. Yeah, everybody's like, it's like kindergarten through 12th grade at those schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know if some of that also is some of that contract chasing too, and some of that situations. If it's, I'm not sure if that same rule applies that we heard earlier. If you're in a classroom and somebody came down that you can't participate in sports for a period of time. I guess we'll never really find out what, if that is the case or if it actually is a virus case. But either way you look at it, I mean, that is a huge number to try to assess. And it's with the UIL coming out with their rules about how playoffs are going forward, it's something now that it's almost a bigger picture than the game itself.
Man.
And if you think about it, it's unfortunate because you can't afford to have a cancellation until you get to a championship game. If you get to a championship game, then you can reschedule. If you can't, then you're done.
Yeah.
So, and you got to think it. How unfortunate would it be if, say, a team like Argyle goes out there, they win this week, they win the next week, then they have to cancel round 3 because of a potential COVID case. That'd be it's so unfortunate.
Yeah, because Argyle, I mean, of course Argyle's good every year, but they've beat the tar out of some good teams this year.
Yes.
Well, another thing that I was thinking about earlier is that you can be totally responsible. You can be doing everything possible right, but you can go up against a team that's maybe 65% of it doing right, 70% doing right, whatever, play the game, get infected, and your season's over. So, I mean, you're rolling the dice that the other guy is doing everything possibly right, when you're playing. So this year, I think it's just who stays healthy. I mean, and it's not just actually what's on the field, healthy this time.
I think Saturday, I'm not always like fully engaged with game day because I'm usually still editing, but I think they were talking about they're having a segment and was that game day where he was talking about they've kind of like quarantined themselves as a team.
Yeah.
Because they know. I mean, like especially like Ohio State. I mean,
and their game gets canceled this week.
A team in the Pac-12. I mean, their window's even tighter.
Well, they don't even have any wiggle room in the Pac-12.
No.
I mean, none. It's if you don't play, it's done. I mean, and as far as that goes, I mean, Colleyville Heritage now is pushed up against that now with their game being canceled this Friday because of staff being infected with the virus. They have to play one more district game to qualify for the playoffs. They only have 2 left. So, I mean, it's really, it's out of their control. But, I mean, they've got to be feeling it a little bit, saying we've got to get in another game to make sure that we can qualify for the playoffs now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be a little unnerving, to say the least, at that point in time.
Yeah, they're not bad either. I've seen them twice.
No, they're undefeated. So, I mean, you got to play a certain amount of district games. You got to play a certain amount of district games now. That was the rule going in. And
I was talking about Midlothian Heritage.
Yep, talked to Braxton Ash's dad about that last night, and they're really nervous. They're hoping that the staff can get out of this.
I've never even heard that.
Yeah, so
I mean, I've never heard a game getting canceled in my whole life, a high school game getting called because of that.
The only time I ever heard is like when you have the hurricanes come in, at the beginning of the year, and those are non-district games, and you kind of just roll with that. Yeah. But you never had a situation where you don't have enough players to play, or it's the world we live in, and I guess in 2020, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, I even thought about it last week. There was a team that finally played their first game last week. That was Weslaco. I mean, can you imagine that? You've had 4A play 10 games and a bye week, and they played their first game last week due to COVID. I mean, that's just unreal.
That was Colleyville Heritage that took a while to get. They played one game, and then they went like four weeks or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's just unreal to think that it's been 11 weeks and you finally played your first game.
Yeah, there was a team I was doing when I was doing my predictions. It was a small school, but I think they only played 2 games the whole season, and it was weird. Like their first game was October 6th, and their next game was like last week. And I was like,
November 7th.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I mean, that's got to be tough to be engaged, the practice and everything.
Yeah.
I'd like to know if they were able to, to even practice as much during all that time. If they had the COVID issues, obviously they probably weren't practicing a ton. And then what I've been hearing also is that a lot of people think, okay, well, you just come out of quarantine and you're ready. The guys' energy levels are, the guys that have been infected, their energy levels low. Yeah. So, that's another thing they're fighting is conditioning.
Well, that's something that they didn't even know anything about. When the season started, I mean, a lot of this stuff kind of learned as the season's gone on.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think we all been kind of learning, going on the fly here. I mean, it seems like a long time ago that Peyton and I were doing the Trinity game against, and just think about everything that's happened in that 6-week period since,
Oh, you mean that was this season, Kenny?
Yeah, no kidding, dude. I mean, it's been and I only think it's going to only get trickier, unfortunately. I mean, with all the spikes that have been going up, it's inevitable that somebody really good season's going to come to an end just because of this. And I mean, hard to go out to it, but I mean, it's the best you can do.
By the way, if y'all want to see Peyton's picks, just go to FridayNightGlory.com, or you can check them out at our Twitter.
Yeah.
I got them pinned to the top of the Twitter, I believe. So anyway, we do have some playoff games this week.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Yes,
Let's start with Peyton. He's got, how many you got? 4, something like that?
I got 4 games this week, but 2 of them are playoff games. I got 1 in 3A and 1 in 4A. And so the 3A game will be Thursday. So tomorrow night I'll be going to Farmersville to see Palmer take on Leonard, and apparently it's going to be a great one. I mean, 1-point spread right now between the 2 teams, and a lot of people have Leonard winning this game. I picked them to win this game, and I actually have them going to the 3rd round as well. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good one. Playoff games are incredibly fun, and I don't even think last year I saw a 3A game until late in the season. So for playoffs, so getting to see round 1 is going to be tremendous. I'm excited to go see that. And then Friday, Boswell, they're going to head to Weatherford. Weatherford has 17-point favorites, but the last couple of weeks I've seen Boswell really perform. They've improved a lot. Their defense it's looking really good. Their offense has little tweaks that they need to fix, but they're improving every week, and I expect it to be a little bit closer than 17-point game. Then Saturday.
It should have some momentum from last Friday's game.
They got a win last week against Chisholm. It was a first ever battle of the saddle. It was awesome. And then Saturday I got 2 games actually, so it'll be the first time I've ever done this. In the morning at 11 a.m. I'm going to see Byron Nelson at Fossil Ridge, and that one's going to be another tight one. 2 teams that they're really needing a big win in district to try and push themselves into the playoffs and try and make something happen.
I think the loser's eliminated in that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
there's no question.
Yep. And then later that night, I'm heading to the Ford Center in Frisco to see Sanger take on Iowa Park, and they got Iowa Park 23-point favorites in this game. But then again, you never know what could happen in the playoffs. So I'm excited this week. 4 games is definitely fun, especially in 3 days. It's gonna be really fun to see, and I'm excited for playoff football.
I'm glad you're going to go see Sanger. I was actually going to bring them up with them being 8-1, and after last year's winless to get to the playoffs. It's going to be. But I'm with you. I think Iowa Park is going to probably take care of business here as much as I would like Sanger to pull the upset. I'm not sure defensively they can hold up enough to do that. I think they can keep it interesting.
Kenny, we've seen stranger things happen before, so you never know, especially when it's in the playoffs. So.
And, you run the football that keeps the offense off the field. And we all know that Sanger can do one thing very well. They can run the football.
Yep.
Kenny, you've done a couple of those where you've done 2 games in a day.
Yeah.
Start off on one part of town and hit a game on the way home.
Yeah, I've got the frequent flyer driver miles coming up here. I'm going to be going to Caddo Mills tomorrow for the very first time. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. Caddo Mills and Hillsboro are going to be getting after it. And it's kind of a clash of 2 different offenses there. Caddo Mills, obviously, they're just loaded offensively. Yeah. I mean, Tyler Townley has had a phenomenal year so far. 2,400 yards passing and 29 TDs. Rushing another 1,100 yards and 7 more TDs on top of that. And those bookend wide receivers have been dynamite for them. They almost got mirrored stats. And Gavin Bean, he's got 762 yards and 12 TDs. And then Caden Davis, he's got 772 yards and 8 TDs. Very versatile. Going up against Hillsboro, who is they don't pass the ball very much, but they're able to run the football. So I think that's kind of that contrast of who wins there. If you keep a high-powered offense off of the field, that's a way of condensing the game for you to keep the game close, keep it within possession. I'm not sure if Hillsborough has enough on the defensive side to stop Cattle Mills. I think that they're going to have to score some points here to win. But I do expect the Foxes and Cattle Mills to come out with a big win here tomorrow night. But looking forward to getting out there. They've been very nice to us, and I'm looking forward
Oh, yeah,
to
they're very friendly out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out that way for sure. And then on Friday night, I mean, does Cedar Hill have anything left after that emotional win last week against DeSoto? They will be taking on the Duncanville Panthers, who obviously most people predict the Panthers to make it to at least the state championship game again. I think it could be either or. You can ride that emotional ride and say, hey, we came back and they beat DeSoto now 3 straight times now. Caden Salter, I mean, we all know how great of a game he had last week. You got your bona fide quarterback that's the leader of your team. You're going to see what kind of leadership he's got this week, because they're going to be going up against a stone wall defensively on Friday night against Duncanville. And I think Duncanville, the one thing that you see that it looks like Grayson Allen's getting more comfortable with the offense. I think it was kind of hard for him to play IMG, the game I covered earlier at the beginning of the year, towards the end. He got there late with COVID, losing that first game. I think he was a little hesitant in his throws. But as I see now, his completion ratio has gone up. You can tell that he's not making mistakes, and he seems to be healthy too. He was a little dinged before he played IMG, so I'm looking forward to see how they've kind of progressed offensively since IMG. But I do pick the Panthers to win.
By the way, Terrence is going to that game too.
Oh, okay. So I'll get to finally work.
So what other any other big games y'all want to highlight for this week?
Yeah, well, I marked some over here. He already talked about Iowa Park and Sanger. I was going to say, I think for a competitive, balanced game here, I think Benbrook and Stephenville at Farrington on Friday night is going to be a very good game. We're used to Stephenville being able to sling the ball around and have 400- and 500-yard passing games, but this year they've not been that high-powered offense before, and Benbrook has been kind of a unnoticed gem here the last couple of years. They play some really good football. You can see that area is growing now out in Benbrook, so I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think that's going to be a good game out in Farrington on Friday night.
One game that I was looking at that if I wasn't color commentating on Friday that I was wanting to go to was Geyer at Allen. That game looks good. And I'm thinking Geyer's going to pull off the upset and get a win.
I think that game's at Geyer, if I'm correct.
Is it at Geyer?
I think
I thought it was at.
I don't remember.
I think it's at Geyer.
I wouldn't swear to it.
I'll double check that again.
I agree. I mean, I'm not saying Geyer will, but they've got a better chance, I think, this season than they've had.
Yeah.
Not that they play every year, but.
And we almost have like a Katy type non-district winning streak. If Allen loses that game, that would be the first district game that they've lost in a long time. So, yes, I mean, that's big.
Was it Hebron or Capel that beat them last?
I think it was Capel. I think it was Capel that I read. I could be wrong on that.
It was one of those teams. It was probably Capel.
Yep. So, I mean, you're talking about, several years.
When Joe McBride was the head coach, too.
Yeah.
So that's been a while. Mike DeWitt's been at a head coach at Capel. What, 5-6 years?
He took off 2 years, and now he's out at McKinney.
No, but I'm talking about DeWitt's been the head coach at Capel now 5 or 6 years.
Oh, yeah. Easy. Yeah. So, let's see. I'm going to see if I can find out exactly.
I think that's that team Brandon Mullins was on that they went like the triple overtime with Trinity. Brandon Mullins, the first kid to play lacrosse at Syracuse.
Yeah.
He was the Texas football. He was Mr. Texas football that year, and he went and played lacrosse. I'm pretty sure it was that team.
It's at Allen. You're correct, Payton. It is at Allen. So, yep. When was the last time Allen lost a home game? That would be another good question. On top of all that.
Stadium, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think Allen has lost a home game since they've been in that new stadium. That's for sure, and that's been a while. So yeah, that's obviously the game of the night. There was another game that I also thought was going to be good, and I said it's not going to be that's. It's La Vega. I think La Vega is going to make a run here. Now that you got Rawls back at quarterback, he had the broken arm. I believe it was game 3 this year, and they had to move their starting safety, who is he's an all-state type safety, to the quarterback position. So that made him weak in both positions, at quarterback and on the defensive end. He's came back, and if you notice that La Vega's starting to score again. And I always say, Coach Hyde always gets his team playing really good right now. They've lost 3 years in a row to Argyle in the regular season, and they've taken care of them when it really mattered in the playoffs. That path with Argyle is only 3 games away. So if we can keep COVID away, if we can keep any upset bugs going on away, to me, La Vega is going to be the hardest challenge for Argyle, just to try to defeat the demons and beat the ghost of them not playing, of losing to them in November and December, the last 3 years. But I do think that that's going to be the highlight game there. And I'm just hoping that those guys can just stay healthy enough that that's the game that matches up for us. So it's going to be one whale of a game. And, when was the last time La Vega didn't win district? They finished second in district. Midlothian Heritage is the district winner in that time. So, you got to think that they got to have a little bit of a chip on the shoulder going into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, hey, I was looking at that region, dude. Mm-hmm. That region's probably the toughest region in all of the playoffs. Incredible. Midlothian Heritage, Melissa, Argyle, and La Vega, all in one region.
All in one region. Incredible. And what was it? Melissa was and Melissa used to be in Argyle's district, right?
Yeah,
last year. So. Yeah. So and Paris, if I'm thinking right, I think they all 3 used to be in
Paris
that district.
In there too, and you can see Midlothian and Heritage and Paris facing off second round.
I think that they say that I think they say that if you come out of that region that you've earned it.
Yeah.
I think the
winner of that region.
I found it, guys. I found y'all aren't even gonna believe this. The last time the Eagles lost a regular season, it was Capel.
Okay.
And I think I was dead on the team it was 2012.
Wow.
Let's see.
Well, yeah, you've got 3 years of Murray, so we know it wasn't then.
It's been almost a decade since
Unreal.
The screen reloaded on me. It's been almost a decade since Allen lost to the same team in consecutive meetings. U.S. Trinity was the last to manage the juggernaut in 2010, 2011. Anyway.
So that means they haven't lost in that new stadium either then.
Yeah,
because that new stadium came up. That would have been
Kyler was
David Blau's senior year. That was the first year of the stadium.
13.
Yeah.
Here it is. After Capel beat Allen 27-24 in 2012, the Eagles regular season, the last regular season loss, Allen won 4 straight head-to-head. This was 2019 or 18.
Yep.
This article. Anyway, it was Allen. 2012, I'm pretty sure that's when Mullins would have been the Texas football high school player, Mr. Texas high school football.
Yes.
And he went and played Syracuse for lacrosse. Shocked everybody.
Yeah. Wow, that's unreal. That's unreal. It should be good though, man. I saw where Payton also picked Brock to win it all. They will not.
I actually picked Grandview.
No, he didn't pick.
Okay, you picked Grandview. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was.
That's who they were giving him hell.
That's what it was. Yes.
Those Brock people, man, they were.
Well, it's either Brock or Grandview, doesn't it?
Yep.
I
was sitting there and I was like, man, I want to pick against Grandview, but it's hard to go against Dane Jinch, man. That kid's a baller, and
it's hard to go against Brock too.
Well,
yeah,
he really
against him too. That's why that was the toughest game I had to pick. I just, oh
Yeah,
man.
that's a crazy. Yeah.
I mean, Dane Yitch, I would like to know what his career record is. I don't know that offhand, and
I wonder how many times they play each other the last, say, 10 years. Have they
I
both
mean,
been in the
it's
same division? How many times have they come up playing each other? I wonder at the end. Or
that's a good
stay, I mean,
question. Haven't they always been in different regions? I thought they were in different divisions.
maybe.
Because Gunner has been 2 out of the 3
Yeah, you're
state
right.
champs in the other one, and Gunner's played Brock, I believe, in the state championship game once, and I think they beat him in the semis one year also.
Gunner, they've really, I mean,
Yeah, Gunner's been they've been under and nobody's talked about them all year long, and here they are just churning out big W's left and right, and I'm thinking Coach Fasale's got to be going, thank you. We don't have to deal with any of this, not any press, not anybody with the big head stuff. And I mean, they've been the 3 out of the last 4 state championship games, they've won 2 of them. So, I mean, yeah, it's hard to pick against them.
hard to get to state in Texas.
Yeah.
No matter what division you're in, it's hard to get to state. People don't understand how hard it is to get to state.
I mean, I think that's what makes the Referios and the Marts and, those guys, Newtons, that keep seeming to get back there and winning. That just, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Carthage, but I mean, it's just, it's unreal to think that there's such an abundance of riches that year in and year out, you're also the hunted. It's one thing to get back to state, but you're hunted throughout the year. So you're getting a loaded gun from everybody throughout the year. You've had a whole off season to get the big head. It's a great coaching job by those guys to have those guys focused enough to keep getting back.
Right. It is crazy how a lot of the same teams do, though, every year.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Referio and Carthage. I think they got to the semis. That's the only stop in the streak of them being at Jerry's World in, like 7 out of 8 years or 5 out of 6.
Who was the 6-man coach they got beat, but he has like his whole team coming back, and he basically said, we don't find mom and daddy a job.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I get a text from Parker. He goes, that was the weirdest press conference I've ever been in.
Well, and further my point, think about Carthage. They're really just a bad call away from going back to state, because that was not a touchdown in that Midlothian Heritage game, in the 4th round that year. And I mean, can we really bet against Coach Surratt anytime he gets to Jerry World?
No.
It's just unreal, man.
Carthage is one of the biggest machines, football machines in Texas.
And I mean, and then dropping the Division II for them only made that an easier path for them to get back to Jerry World too.
They just kind of started that streak, when we kind of started going to state, covering state.
Yep. Well, I mean,
they're like almost every year, it seems like.
They don't have to play Pleasant Grove. They don't have to play La Vega. I mean, it's huge, man. I mean, it's huge this year for them dropping down. But if you saw their non-district schedule, I mean, they beat some of the heavies. They beat Pleasant Grove when Pleasant Grove was still reasonably healthy. I mean, they've taken some hits on the defensive side, injury-wise, Pleasant Grove this year. But when they played them, they were about as healthy as they were going into that game, and they went up to their place and put it on them pretty good. So, yeah. There's no way you can count out Carthage. If you bet against Carthage, I say that's a sucker bet.
Damn it.
COVID may be the only thing that takes them out.
Somebody's jamming on y'all. I heard the music.
Yeah.
It's cranked up in the background now.
Yeah. I think that's the miss in their playing their country music.
All right. Well, y'all got anything else?
Man, I just thought as much as a couple quick things. Hope Quinn Ewers comes back healthy. He had the sports hernia. They won last week, but hoping to have him back for the playoffs. I mean, that's huge there. I mean, I know it's always next man up, but I said I don't know many teams that have a 5-star next man up quarterback on their bench. You know? And another state note was Lake Travis, Bo Edmondson. He's also out. They're hoping to get him back, but I mean, you know, they plug in quarterbacks down at Lake Travis. I get that, but, you know, losing a quarterback this late, you know, going down the stretch when you're trying to build some momentum, and, you know, that's a huge, because, I mean, there's a lot of people that think Lake Travis is going to at least get to the, you know, 4th or 5th round in the playoffs this year. So if you don't get them back.
Didn't they almost beat Allen with the backup quarterback a couple years ago?
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah, it's the kid that's playing for them now, Card.
Yeah.
The Card kid that's going to go to University of Texas. Yeah, he came in and, knock on wood, I mean, the time, he just didn't have enough time. Let's just say that in the game, because they had Allen on their heels.
Yeah,
There's no
bad
question.
calls too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know that it was changed the outcome of bad calls, but there were some bad calls.
Yeah, there was. No, I mean, they took Allen. I mean, Allen was, let's just say this, fortunate to win.
Well, I was surprised that they did too. I thought Allen had a lot better team that year. I was wrong.
Yep, they were very fortunate to win. I think that was Allen's last state championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys go.
All righty.
Be an interesting weekend. And it's going to be crazier that we're going to be in bi-district playoffs next week.
Yeah.
In what, week 6 or 7 in the other schools, something like that? I don't know. Some of the schools are having homecoming. Some of them are in the playoffs.
Yeah, just did an interview with somebody, and they have their homecoming this week. And I said, aren't the playoffs here?
All right. Well, I'll be talking to y'all this weekend. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have fun at your games, and I'll see you tomorrow, Kenny.
See you tomorrow, buddy. All righty.
See ya.